a little bit, or at least you're going to get to know me. And give it up for Caveat for hosting us before I get started. That's so amazing. Please do take care of the bar staff. They're working really hard for you guys today, so please do take care of them. All right. So yes, my name is Matt Storrs, and the first time my mom asked me if I was gay, we were stopped at a stoplight waiting to turn left, which I believe is the worst place for that conversation to happen. But it's great. She was okay about it, though. She was like, Matt, no matter what your answer is, your dad and I are still going to love you. And I answered honestly. I said, I don't really know. I got to think about it. It's a beautiful moment. Then my mom turned left into oncoming traffic. The light was still red. So now, anytime I think about my sexual orientation, my life flashes before my eyes. My sexual orientation is panic. Good. The first time I met somebody that was pansexual, I got so excited. I'm like, you're also panic-sexual? And they're like, no, honey, that's not what that means. But communication was hard in my family. Like, I had a dog when I was a kid. And one day my dog wasn't outside, so I asked my mom where he was. And she said, I'm sorry, Matt, but your dog has bought the farm. I said, well, can we buy the farm next to his? She said, I'm sorry, Matt, but we can't afford it. I lived for years thinking my dog was a better investor than my parents. If you really think about it, a 401k is just burying bones in the yard. Great. It's going to be a lot of fun. I went to a religious middle school, and there were a lot of negatives at that school, but there were some positives, like I saw my first concert at that school. It was a Simon and Garfunkel cover band called Simon and Gomorrah. Yeah, they rewrote all of their songs to be about the Bible. My favorite song of theirs was The Sound of Sodom, which was a take off The Sound of Silence. And the worst part about it was I hadn't heard Simon and Garfunkel before. So, yeah. So when I finally did, I was like, this secular music rips off our good Christian music. Very embarrassing. At that school, I wasn't cool. And I knew I wasn't cool because people stopped saying bless you when I sneezed. Yeah, but I got back at him. I started saying I love you anytime anybody sneezed. Kid in my class, teacher, didn't matter. And eventually one of my teachers took me aside and was like, Matt, we practice the Christian ideal of metanoia. There's 7 different types of Christian love. But stop doing it, it's creepy. I still do it, though. It gets me in trouble. On the way over here, I was on the train, and a guy sneezed. And I was like, I love you. Did you just sneeze, someone over there? Okay, I love you, too. But yeah, this guy sneezed. I'm like, I love you. And he was like, yeah, not interested. And he stormed off the train. It was worth it, though, because a little boy came up to me and tugged on my jacket and was like, hey, keep trying. Somebody will love you. So I encourage you all to do it. It'll change your life. Yeah. At that school, we had mock trial. Did anybody here do mock trial? Yeah, fantastic. Great. Did you have to audition for? Oh, okay, cool. How did the auditions go? Did you get a sample case to do or something?
No, it was more about the audition was, are you good in public?
Okay, are you good in public? Are you good in talking in public? At our school, since it was a religious middle school, we had to defend characters from the Bible as our audition. So, I want to show off. It's mock trial. You got to show off, So I decided to defend the most difficult character from the Bible. I decided to defend Judas. Yeah, if you don't mind, I'd like to provide my opening statement for you today. Is that okay? All right. Now, I'm just a simple Gentile attorney. But it's our understanding that our Lord and Savior needed to die to provide us our salvation. And if it wasn't for my client, Judas Iscariot, I don't think we would have that salvation. I look forward to defending my client. Thank you. I have no idea why it was Southern. I don't know why I made that choice. The only thing that I think is plausible is that you know how in the UK they wear those powdered wigs for their barristers? I thought that anytime a lawyer went into a courtroom in America, they had to take on a Southern accent. Yeah, that school, they didn't believe in evolution. And so they tried to disprove the theory of evolution in my science class. And the argument that they made is that there's no in-between animals in the fossil record. You know, so like cows and whales are supposed to be supposed to be related, but you don't see any half cow, half whales in the fossil record. And my science teacher, to prove this point, she pulled out a stuffed animal. The front half of it was a cow, and the back half of it was a whale. She had ruined 2 stuffed animals to make this abomination. And she's like, you don't see any of these guys in the fossil record now, do you? And if anybody can give me a theory how these 2 things could be related, I get to take him home. Now, I know it's not accurate, but I had a theory. I raised my hand, and I'm like, yeah, excuse me, that looks like a manatee? A sea cow, if you will. And I was excused from science class for 2 weeks. They called it a suspension, but I knew better. Fantastic. Little shift. Recently, I got robbed. I know. Very scary. The guy came up to me and he was like, hey, give me your money. Give me your phone. I'm like, sure, take them. He's like, give me your bag. And I'm like, I can't give you my bag because it has a quote from Matilda on it, and it means a lot to me. I'm exactly the type of person you think I am. And he's like, fine, just give me whatever's in your bag. I'm like, sure. So I start taking out the phone chargers. I start taking out the napkins. And then I reach in, I'm like, yeah, this is the habanero garlic honey that I make and I give and sell after shows. He's like, okay. Feel free to grab some after the show if you want to. And then I dig a little bit deeper and I'm like, oh, this is the vanilla extract that I make and give to my friends during the holidays. You're really lucky. This is the last one. And he's like, you can keep your stuff. I insisted, though. And he took that vanilla extract. And so now one of my hopes and dreams for the rest of my life is that I go into like a really fancy bakery someday. And I get into this gigantic line. And then across the way, I see him. And we make eye contact. And he comes up, he's so excited. He's like, oh my God, this is my bake shop. I am so happy that I robbed you. And I'm like, I'm so proud of what you've been able to do with my vanilla extract. This is amazing. And he's like, you know what? Would you like a piece of cake? I'll be like, yeah, that would be wonderful. And he'll be like, well, okay, that's $15. And I'll be able to be like, no, you're not robbing me twice. Hi. Fantastic. I date. I've dated. A lot of people are surprised by that. Like I once even had sex with somebody. Yeah. The person they asked me to call them good girl in bed. I was happy to oblige. I'm like, you're a good girl. I'm really proud of all the time you spend volunteering at the community center. They have not texted me back, which I don't think is very good girl behavior. Excellent. My parents are old, and they just recently did their wills, and I've realized that we're not rich and we're not wealthy. I'm not going to inherit a lot. That's not true. I'm going to inherit something. We are rich in one area. We are rich in quilts. So when my parents die, I'm going to inherit 41 quilts. Like some of you might inherit money when your parents die. Good for you. I am going to inherit a quilt that commemorates a dog being saved from a pond. Think I win? Some of you might get a house. Fantastic. Intergenerational wealth is an amazing thing. I am going to inherit a quilt that commemorates the Nixon administration. It's in 4 quadrants and gets completely crazy by the end of it. Like, I will never be financially secure, no. But I will be warm. I wanted to be cool. So I decided to start smoking cigars, because that's cool. No, you disagree? All right. I thought smoking cigars was cool, so I decided to start smoking cigars. I learned everything I could about cigars in 2 hours, and I went to my local cigar shop. And the cashier was like, hey, you've been in before, haven't you? You like those bold and strong cigars. And I said yes, because I wanted the lie to be real. And then she took me into the really humid room, which I learned is called a humidor. And she sold me the most expensive cigar there. And she must have thought it was pretty cool, because she invited me to smoke it inside the store. And when I woke up, the EMTs explained that high levels of nicotine when you've never smoked before will cause something called a vasovagal response and it'll make you pass out. I was also told I was not allowed to go back to the cigar shop because they didn't have something called liability insurance, which isn't a very cool business practice, but it is pretty bold. Let's give it up for liability insurance. Yeah. One of the reasons we're here today. Fantastic. Y'all mind if I do something a little darker? Is that okay? Sure. I'm going to actually just ask you, is it okay? That's the type of positivity I want for the rest of the day, everybody. Good. My aunt, before I was born, she took her own life. And recently my mom called me and was like, Matt, I found your aunt's suicide note. And it's really well written. She doesn't blame anybody. It's so beautiful. We should frame it. Now, I'm not really too familiar with what you're supposed to do when somebody takes their own life, but I'm pretty sure you're not supposed to frame the note. It's like you have a dinner party, you have it up above your mantle. Somebody's like, this is so well written, what's the story behind this? And it's like, well, this dinner party's gonna take a dive. Fantastic, thank you. My bank called me, and they told me I need to start repaying my student loans. They said, Mr. Storrs, you knew the risks when you took out those loans. And I said, you knew the risks when you gave student loans to a liberal arts major. That was a bad investment. You can ask my dog. Thank you for paying attention. I confuse the words definitely and defiantly. And I think it ruins my chances of getting a new job. When I intend to write, I definitely want to work for your company. But instead I write, I defiantly want to work for your company, you son of a bitch. I don't appreciate that, but I appreciate all of you. I'm going to leave you with this. I think that what we can take away from my set is that I have difficulties with communication. And I think that I have figured out... You disagree? Okay. And I think I've figured out the moment in time where it all started. Because my favorite color is purple. And when I was in 2nd grade, I wanted to be a purple witch for Halloween. My parents said yes to that, but they made a recommendation. They're like, why don't you be a purple wizard instead? I said, no. Wizards are just con men in capes. Witches actually know spells. So I got my mom's purple muumuu. I got a purple pointy hat. It's called a hennin. And I went out trick-or-treating in my neighborhood. Unfortunately, some of my friends, they saw me, and they called me gay. They're half right. You knew that already. But one of them was kind of creative, though. He called me a Wiccan grimace. I thought that was pretty creative. Later, I would come to accept that the grimace is an anthropomorphized milkshake made popular by the McDonald's Corporation. Very creative, gold star. But them calling me gay led to the best comeback I've ever used in my life, which was, purple isn't a gay color. It's a royal color, you peasant. And that was worth not having any friends. But I think that's changed today, because I think all of you are my friend. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. Folks, you have been